So I just want to keep running with the previous series. So in that last one, I was talking a little bit about flirting, and I didn't mean so more so mean that in like flirting and like being like being like sexy or suave or something like that, and it can be that, but I meant like more of just being who you are, and being comfortable of who you are, with and without others. I think that's important, with others and without others, but also with and without others is really, I think that's you're getting on somewhere when you're comfortable with and with others. One thing I learned from that is when I used to go to like face settings, they said that more so of what you do, with no one looking at you, is who you really are, and who you also will appear to others with others looking at you, is you will appear as what you do with others not looking at you. And so from there I say that being comfortable with yourself alone and with others, but that the distinction of and both of those respectively, but also both of that is really outstanding. So I started this one saying that about like how I was getting like more so phone numbers recently, and I had gotten phone numbers at different times in my life, but I got more so like within recent years, and then up to the present I got more and more so. I think a little bit of that had to do with I was working as a professional school bus driver, and just by the challenge of having to take care of that many students at once, but you are necessitated to engage the students to different degrees when the students are coming on the bus, whether that have been like discipline or instruction, or just sometimes you'll just be like stuck on the bus with them, like you're the driver, and then the little ones have to sit in the front of the bus, so they're going to come in and they're going to be sitting right in the first couple rows, and they just had a day of school, and some people might recommend or just not talk at all, but that I think that you still, it's just human to engage people. So, but if you can engage people, people that are very different than you, people that are older than you and younger than you and your age, if you can engage all those people tactfully, with what's appropriate for that interaction, you can be, and also like maybe for people who are adults, what's also inappropriate for that action but appropriate for being inappropriate for that interaction. You're just way more versatile, but also more comfortable. So you grow, one, by the challenge, but then also by the exposure and the nuance of engaging people at different levels of development. It helps with that of getting better around a lot of people. And then I think that but so like some people would say like the best version of you, and I think that best might be arbitrary because best is a judgment. So you're saying that either the best version of you is that you're better than who you were, or you're better than what you were, or who others are, or where others are. So I think that even to contrast yourself to yourself is not the right footing, the best footing, because that's denigrating who you had been and who it took for you to be who you are now. Because sometimes when you actually do start getting better, you're like, dang, I wish I could be around this or that person, or meet this or that person again for the first time, who I am now after having met that person once in the past. But that wouldn't actually be possible for you to be who you are now, whether in terms of appearance or capacity, without having met whatever person and having whatever great or flat or bad experience that would amount to you becoming who you presently are. So you take the good with the bad, but you also take the past with the present, and that can make a greater future. And in the greatest sense, the present is almost better than the future, and there really is almost no future. There's only a present. So we're always at different iterations of the present. But what I want to say is that, so more of like, but the reason I was mentioning about having more phone numbers of lately is just because it's new. I hadn't. I think I maybe could have or would have at other times, but I am more so now. And I just think that it's more of being myself, being that even self is you could go different angles with that, but being more of what you are is what's outstanding. So there's a few things that really make a difference for me in meeting people and having strong interactions. One is having an apartment, a home in your own name. Another one is having a vehicle in your own name. Another one would be having a means of livelihood where you feel respected and you feel you have the initiative. You can make decisions somehow in your livelihood. That might be more important than being a boss or a worker, because it can be said that workers work for their bosses, but bosses also work for their workers. And all those work for customers, but maybe you could say customers also work for them because they pay what they earn somewhere else. But what's more so significant than any of that is your actual say-so and your sense of self-respect in the first place, and then the respect you experience with other people in the second place, but no less in the first place, is what's significant. So like I've been doing stuff like delivery, like 1099 work, and I think that's a real actual blessing that came to a lot of people, and it was needed, because even in the past you had people with different skills that they could do, different ways that they could be of value to themselves and others, either in terms of what they are, could do, or controlled. But that was more so that was limited in a way that didn't serve people working, or maybe even people worked for in the past. And then so you have the 1099 work now, where it can meet a lot of those needs. But life is greater than 1099 work. So there's more and cooler and better and awesome ways to do the same type of initiative. What's more so significant is the initiative, to have the initiative on your side. Wake up when you want, work when you want, stop working when you want, and then maybe also receive compensation on a different cycle than what someone else hands to you on 1 and 2 weeks. That's very strong. So that'd be another blessing that I think would work in favor. And then having a little bit of privacy, because for a long time I was shacked up with family. That's another thing. Having more scope of where you do and don't go, and not having to explain yourself to another one or account for where you are. That's another one. Then being ourself or engaging people, and then I think uploading content. So I started uploading content on YouTube and another men's style forum. The lessons learned there that I taught myself and that I taught others and learned from others operating like that all that comes together to allow a person to to meet people. But the bigger part is still practice. And so to be good with anything, it takes practice, even engaging other people. And the real practice, the practice is not that day you felt, it's not only that day you were inspired to pick up practicing something, or you had the habit to pick up practicing something, or the interest, or you got around to enjoying something. That hadn't been the real practice or real work. The real work is when you don't feel like doing it. I think that was the rapper Lil White. He's from the same area of the South that I went to a little bit of a high school with, and he was coming on the scene when I was very young in high school. He has one song called Finally Famous. If you were just to appreciate that song, Finally Famous, it's a short song in terms of the length of it. I think it's only 2 minutes. They have like an instrumental version, a regular version, but that sound of that's the sound of someone who had been famous before they ever were recognized as being famous. That's the heart of someone. That's the stance of someone. So that's an outstanding song for maybe a lot of great people who are not yet recognized for being great, and maybe greater because of that, and then will one day be great when they get around to being recognized. But that's really the spirit you should be approaching anything that you're developing that's like non-linear, where you don't get compensated right away or you don't get attention right away. The attitude should really be like Lil White on that song Finally Famous. But also he said even in the day, he said on one song, even the days I don't feel like grinding, like that's when he really gets active, on the days he doesn't feel like it. And that's the deepest thing, because that's when so a lot of people would talk about like when I was like, I think the word player hater might have been discovered on Earth somewhere around the year 1997, because I think that was like Bad Boy, like Puff Daddy and Biggie Smalls, they had like PhD, player hater degree, and that word took off at that point. I didn't hear it a lot before that, but it never stopped being popular, that word hater. And a lot of people would talk about hater or toxic and stuff like that, but the real damage of anyone who would bring that type of energy is not what they even steal from you or they insult you about, but it would be if they can get you to hesitate about practicing something, because that's when things really don't work out. It's when we stop practicing something. So we should also practice meeting people and talking to people if we enjoy relationships and attractive people.